Hi guys, today we have a very exciting topic. I'm going to talk about Royal Imperial Jaspers from Mexico. They're one of the very few banded jaspers in high quality with like orbicular banding worldwide, and in my opinion the Royal Imperial Jasper are one of the finest as well, because they have a lot of different colors, a lot of different appearances on how the banding is overlapping, which I think looks very cool in a lot of pieces. And with this banding there is some similarity to agates. That's why I think I probably enjoy them as well, because they look like agates sometimes. And I have a couple special pieces here. These are all the boxes we have prepared for future sales. Some of these are on my website already, and I will be showing you some pictures right now as well, so you see how different they can look like. But here's some 4 really premium quality examples of what these jaspers can look like. Some of them have like a more translucent outline in the piece, and then a little bit more opaque kind of bending towards the center. Also sometimes with crystallized quartz veins that a little bit look like septarian nodules. So that's what they look like, and this is what they look like from the outside. So they really just look like white rock. There's really not much to see on these, but it's one of the most surprising material I've ever been cutting. And this material, what you can see here right now, has been mined I think in 2015, so that was 8 years ago, and since then there was hardly any good quality material that made it on the market. But there's also exciting news, and there will be more good quality material coming soon. So the gem shop is supplying this high quality material and will probably have a bunch of new material for their show in Tucson. So that's some exciting news. And here's another fantastic piece that you can see just with different sort of banding, but here we can just see how beautiful overlapping this banding is in this specimen. So really just a gorgeous piece. And I also like about this material that they have just a big variety in colors. So the first one was kind of a red color, the second one was kind of a pink brownish color, and this one even got some green and yellow, but also with some really intense red color, which is just outlining this super contrasty center. So I really like this one. I think I sold the other half of this one a couple years ago, and it has been printed in a book, but I don't have the book with me, so, and I'm not sure about it right now, but I think this one has been printed in a book. Another really cool piece is this one. It really just shows this beautiful egg pattern, a little bit softer colors in a kind of grayish color. Some of them even have like a little bit of a bright blue, but they just have a huge variety of colors. And the gem shop gave me one massive specimen, huge sized piece, that we agreed on that I can cut it in half for them, and I get to keep half of it, they get the other half, and it is showing a ton of potential. So we're going to cut this one in a minute, and also a few of the smaller pieces that I have from back in the day, but the big piece is one of the freshly mined ones, and I hope there will be a lot more good material of this kind, because it's been some of my favorite to cut of all material I ever cut. Alright, let's go to the workshop. We are in the workshop now, and these are the pieces I prepared for cutting. So this is the monster piece that Veronica from the gem shop gave to me to cut. I think it will turn out to be a really fantastic specimen. You can see it has a smaller fractures here at the bottom, but that is not where we want to cut the stone, so I will just go right below this broken face. This is the only window it has, so I will just cut right below that, and then for the biggest face one time across here. So I think we should be able to avoid most of the fractures that I see in this specimen. So I am super excited for this one. Like, this is, I think, one of the coolest rough stones I've been cutting in a while. And right next to this are actually what I would say is more like the average size of Royal Imperial Jaspers. So just around the 2 to 3 inch size area. You can see they're pretty chalky. So a lot of them have like a really whitish kind of husk, but there's also some that have like a red kind of exterior, and I think they've also been mined at like slightly different places. So the 3 white ones don't show any signs of any jasper at all, so they might just be duds and there might not be anything inside. But this one already shows just the most incredible pattern, so I'm sure this one will turn out nice. This one's kind of a surprise piece. It kind of shows this weird outside pattern, but I'm not sure how much it will actually penetrate through the inside. But the important thing about the Royal Imperial Jaspers is that, a little bit different to agates, they don't need a lot of volume to show the banding. So if I cut an agate like this, it would kind of look weird because the banding would be really flat in this piece. But with the jaspers, since the kind of egg pattern is so much overlapping and does not need a lot of volume in the stone to expand and show the pattern, the best way to cut any of these Royal Imperial Jaspers is always across the biggest face. Unless there's any windows you would be cutting through or any fractures. Those are like 2 things I would avoid, but other than that, always cut through the longest face if you have the chance. Some of them will be tricky to put in the saw, you will see that in a minute, but it is definitely worth doing that. So I am very excited for this bunch of jaspers and hope you are too. So let's start off with the big one. Let's do that. So I'm just quickly changing the saw blade, because right now I have a 420mm saw blade in, which is a good size for the smaller ones I will be cutting, but I have an even bigger saw blade which has just a little bit more stability, and so it's a little bit thicker, a little bit more stable, and especially if you're cutting any of the really large sized stones, it can actually happen that the saw blade is moving a little bit. So the stronger and bigger the saw blade is, the less movement you will have and the more perfectly straight the cut will be. So I just decided to put in the big boy for the big piece. I mean, you see the process is just taking a couple of seconds. And the new saw blade is already in. So now I'm going to try to find the best way to put it in the saw. Alright, so I decided now to put it in like a mix between the biggest volume of the stone and the biggest face where I can cut it, and I think it's kind of a little bit coherent, if that's the right word, but it's like a mix of both the biggest volume and the biggest face I can cut out of it. So it's still cutting through pretty much the volume, but also with the biggest face, but also just avoiding this fracture that's running through here that you can see here. So I'm just cutting like a millimeter next to that, and I think it looks good to go. So we're just gonna go ahead and cut it. Ich hoffe, die Säge geht noch zu. Oh, okay. Ich schaue es mir auch noch nicht an. Alright, so this is my first look as well. I have no clue what's inside, but I think the cut worked out pretty well, so I think it's right about where I wanted to have it. Okay, I'll show it to you first. Wow. Wow. It is a massive piece and entirely banded with the jasper. So wow, this is massive, because a lot of the pieces they only have like some of the white material or are not entirely banded. So this is a really good piece for the size and quality. But I also have to point out the few fractures it has. But very, very vibrant colors, very nice overlapping banding. and very different from what I thought it would be like, because it was showing this kind of brownish red color on the outside, but inside it's more like a kind of almost turquoise color, which is very different from what I expected. But yeah, it's a massive piece, and I hope there will be a lot more of this material because it is so fun to cut this. Alright, let's go for the next ones. So in this case I will probably just set it in like this. You will see it in the saw in a minute. That is how I will be cutting all of these pieces, just with a very fragile cut and thin points that they are clamped in. Yeah, I hope they don't jump out and destroy my saw blade, because a saw blade usually costs around $150. I'll make sure that they have good and tight grip, and I hope they will turn out nice as well. So this one actually turned out really nice, but something a little bit unfortunate happened. As you can see, there's a small break that happened, and it is very soft material and breaks easily. So it seems like there might have been a little bit too much pressure on the cut, so that's why it has this little break here. And I hope my polisher will be nice enough to grind it all the way down here, because it does not look like it had any natural fractures that could have caused the break. In the other half I cannot see any other fractures, but other than that, pretty cool piece, I would say. Really nice banding. I really like this kind of material. So you can see how thin I cut this piece, and actually the same thing happened again, although I was very careful in the end to take off the power of the saw. So because this material is just so treacherous to cut and it just breaks so easily, I went really slow in the end, but I think I might just go ahead and change the saw blade just to make sure I have the best new saw blade that I have, in order to achieve the best cutting results as well. But this half is really nice. Beautiful symmetrical orbs in the center. This half I'm not even that mad that it broke off a little bit, because it does not have quite as much of the beautiful banding like the other half has. I was already just saying it cuts the stone smooth like butter. So I was wondering if it's about the new saw blade that I put in, or if the Jasper is actually not full with Jasper, but just some of the white kind of clay looking material. But yeah, we will find out what it looks like. Woo! It is nice. It is very nice piece. Beautiful overlapping banding, beautiful egg pattern. I was not expecting that. Great specimen. Alright guys, we found an avocado. Look at this piece. Also here you can see I was not careful enough when I cut the piece. It's just so brittle here in the rim area that the area where it's not like as much silicified as in the rim area, then this part will just easily break off. But I feel like in this piece it also doesn't hurt as much. This half can easily be ground down, and in the other one I think it doesn't affect the banding too much. So I think it is a very nice surprise, and it gets me hungry because I did not have a lot of lunch today. This one was a little bit loud when I cut it, so I already thought that it might have like a small cavity inside of the piece. So there were like a few parts that came a little bit loose in the center of the stone, and I think that's exactly what happened. And I was pretty careful with this one, but even this piece has like a little break on the side. Nevertheless, a really nice specimen. Just beautiful pattern in this one. But you can see even here on this one it has the same little break, and here this part in the center is where it came loose and made the sound for the saw to be a little bit louder than usual. I was super careful with this piece, however still there was some things that broke out. In this case, I feel like it might have been due to a little bit of a fracturing I can see here in this part of the husk. So I feel like there might have been a little fracture that produced this kind of break, but just incredible pattern in this piece. Really fantastic specimen, and this was the last one of the Royal Imperial Jaspers that I'm cutting today. If you enjoy the content with agates we are producing, please consider leaving a like and a comment for this video on YouTube, and don't forget to subscribe if you want to see more of our future content.